Okay, in this video we're going to review raising a power to a power. So if you have x squared raised to the third power, when we raise a power to a power, this is like multiplying x squared times itself 3 times, but the shortcut is just to multiply the exponents. So 2 raised to the third power would equal x to the 6th. Okay? And when you get to some bigger, more complicated problems, you might have something like 3x squared y z to the negative 2 all raised to the third power. Just like when we were multiplying, we're going to start out with the integer. 3 to the third power is the same as it's always been. 3 times 3 is 9, times 3 is 27. So 3 cubed is 27. Now we're going to take the x. We break it down into 1, 2, 3, 4 little problems by doing one variable at a time after we do the integers. So x squared raised to the third power, 2 times 3 is 6, it's x to the 6th. Remember this y, we don't write it down, but the exponent when there's just 1 is just y. So 1 times 3 gives us y cubed, and then you have z to the negative 2 raised to the third power is z to the negative 6. Sometimes you guys are able to skip steps, sometimes you skip them too soon and it really messes you up. So I'm not skipping any steps when I do this. For our final answer, remember this isn't simplified, we have a negative exponent. This part right here is simplified. There's nothing else we can do. So we're just going to rewrite 27 x to the 6th y cubed. We take the reciprocal of z to the negative 6th in order to make it a positive exponent, and z to the 6th goes on the bottom, and that's the final answer. Okay, I'm going to give you guys one to try, and I want you to pause the video and try it on your own, and then I'll give you the answer afterwards. Okay, so I want you to try and do negative 3 x squared y to the 4th z to the negative 2 all raised to the second power. Go ahead and try that one. You can pause the video. Okay, let's see how you did. First thing we have to do, negative 3 squared. Remember, a negative times a negative is a positive, so that's 9. X squared raised to the second power, 2 times 2 is 4, that's x to the 4th. Y to the 4th raised to the 4th power, or raised to the second power, I'm sorry, y to the 4th raised to the second power, y to the 8th. And then we have z to the negative 2 raised to the second, it's z to the negative 4th. Do you see why this is not simplified? This is simplified. So we put 9 x to the 4th y to the 8th all over z to the 4th, because when we take the reciprocal of the negative exponent, it becomes a positive. That's it for raising a power to a power. I think the place where you guys have a little trouble is when you have to do maybe raising it to 2 powers. So let's do one of those crazy ones, because I'm pretty sure they're on your test. So I'm making this up as we go. Let's take 3x squared y to the second power, and then from there let's raise it to the third power. I always start from the inside out. There's different ways to do this. Remember, I told you to do what makes sense to you. The important thing is that you break it down into a lot of small problems. So 3 squared is 9, and I'm doing this part right here in green. I'm going to start on the inside and work out. X squared is x to the 4th. I multiply them, and then there's that little 1 there. So y raised to the second power is y squared. Now what you got to remember is whatever that solution was, or simplified expression was, is raised to the third power. So now I don't know. 9 times 9 is 81, And 81 times 9, I don't really know what that is, so I'm going to actually have to use a calculator. Okay, so 9 times 9 is 81, times 9 is 729. X to the 4th raised to the 3rd, I'm raising a power to a power, it's x to the 12th. Y squared raised to the 3rd is y to the 6th. Organization is a huge factor in being successful in these, and you really need to be organized. Okay, let's do one more. Let's just raise that to the 3rd power. You can pause the video, try it yourself, and then I'll work through the answer. Okay? 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8. Y cubed raised to the 3rd is y to the 9th. Z to the negative 4th raised to the 3rd is z to the negative 12th. And then we just have a 1 there, so 1 times 3, you get z cubed. Do you see what I did wrong? This should be x, and this should be y. I tell you to be organized, and then I really screwed up. So that happens when you take tests sometimes. There's nothing wrong with going back and making it right, though. Okay? So now my final answer has a negative exponent in it right here, which is a problem. So I'm going to have 8 x to the 9th, y to the 12th. I take the reciprocal and get a positive exponent, z cubed, and there's your final answer. That's what you should have on your paper. Whatever method you use, that should be your final answer.